we're talking under your roof. You know, it's one thing to know a lot about what somebody does. It's a whole nother thing to know about more of who somebody is. All right, hey, we're here. We're just going to dive right in. We've got an awesome couple with us. Matt, couple. This is the first time we've had a couple.
Yeah. First time
Yeah, we've talked about individuals in their marriage, but we've never had a representative of both sides. So I'm excited about that. Even though this isn't a marriage podcast, it is under your roof. You know, what we're talking about is more of who you are, not what you do, and who you are. The most of yourself is when you're in your house, nobody's there. If Rachel is my wife, Rachel is my wife.
Wait a minute.
If our whole crew was gone and I was home by myself, like, man, that's the truest version of self, you know? So we want to kind of go there. You guys have been, you've been in Abilene for how long?
5 years.
About 5 years now. Yeah. Again, this is Matt and Abigail Farler. We're going to get into some of what they do. I'll let them talk some about that. But like the idea is more of like your story. You guys, how you met, like want people to get to know you better. People want to know you. I think that's the heartbeat of all things is just getting to know people. You got a family crew. You've been here 5 years. How many kids do y'all have?
Three.
Right?
Yeah, three.
Yeah, three.
Who are they most like?
It's pretty, I mean, the oldest and the youngest are more like her, and the middle one is just my spitting image. Like he is just a clone of me for the most part.
Does he have a mustache?
No, he will
Not
get
yet.
there. He will
He's
get there.
working on it, though.
He will get there.
That would be good. Maybe he should dress up like on Halloween. He should be you.
Put a Capriotti's hat and then just a mustache.
That would be really funny.
Some sunglasses.
Didn't y'all just have a neighborhood like?
Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, the Sandstone Halloween Bash. It is a blast. They bring in a DJ, a bounce house, catering.
Yeah.
It was the real deal.
Yeah. No, it's
Did you
serious.
guys sneak some sandwiches in there?
No, but it was a lot of sandwich talk.
Yeah,
You should have.
we told a lot of people about them.
I mean, you
everybody
got to do your deal, man.
Yeah. Now,
so-
sometimes it's nice to just not talk about sandwiches.
Sure.
You
You
get
got
a couple
sandwiches on the
minutes
brain.
yeah.
So while we're talking about sandwiches, Capriotti's,
Yep.
new place in town.
Yep.
It's been here as people are watching this, probably a couple months, maybe even 90 days.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the date y'all opened?
8/27. We opened at the end of August. It was a long road to get there, but we finally did. And I mean, I couldn't ask any more of the big country. I mean, you guys have been awesome. I mean,
it's been a great start, huh?
So amazing. We're the number one selling store in the nation, in the whole chain for the last 4 weeks running.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I mean
Sweet.
it's in little Abilene, Texas. We're beating Hawaii, California, who's charging $2 more per sandwich because of.
But
where
you guys
they-
aren't
where they
competitive
live.
as a family.
Oh, geez. Like we had sales yesterday that were low and I'm just like, what do I got to do to get them up? And, it's just craziness right now.
Who's more competitive?
Oh, she is for sure. I think maybe she just shows how competitive she is more than I do. I'm super competitive, but I'm not as she just is like right here when it's time to compete. So I think I hide it a little bit more, but it's in there.
You grew up in Nevada.
Yep.
Okay, I went to Capriotti's the first time, and the lady was coached up, and she was telling me all about the bread came from Las Vegas.
Yep.
So is there is there any connection that you grew up there and that happens to be, or is that just
Yeah,
a
100%
cool
there
coincidence?
is. Yeah, 100% there
tell
is.
us about it.
Yep. So I went to school in Las Vegas at UNLV. I'm from Northern Nevada originally, and Capriotti's was our go-to spot. And back then it was just
Is it
kind of
mafia?
No,
Come on, dude. You
Not
can tell
that
the
one.
truth.
Not that one. There
Okay.
is
Not
plenty
that
of,
one.
There's some
plenty of
mafia there. Okay, go ahead.
There's plenty of other spots that were definitely mafia.
There's a room
around.
in the back of Capriotti's, dude.
yeah, we
Stay
got
out
a
of that
poker room back
Poker
there.
room,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Speakeasy.
there's something going on.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of where we went to as college. It was kind of a little rundown, little small spot that was right next to school. And it was just our sandwich spot that we would always go to. And so it's always been in the back of my mind. And then getting out to Abilene, it was just like, I think this could do well here.
Yeah.
I think it could do well here. I think it
Nostalgia
could do
for
well
you.
here.
It's like,
Yeah, and it just felt like there was the product that would be successful in Abilene, and at this point, it kind of has been. So yeah.
So you
Awesome.
mentioned kind of the long hard road to get here, right?
Oh yeah.
So I guess 2-part question to that statement was like, what challenges did y'all face to get to the point you're at right now, and then what brought you to Abilene to begin with?
She's the reason we're here.
Okay.
So I was in coaching for 15 years, softball coaching, and we were in Oregon at a school that we loved, had a lot of success there. It was great. And we started dreaming really big on what would it take for us to leave this spot where we're having success, we're growing as a family, it's great. And we drew up this really long list. And part of that was if we were going to leave Oregon, the only state we would want to move to is Texas.
Of course.
But if we were going to move to Texas, we're not going to move to a big city. It would need to be a small town. And if we're going to move from one school to another, I would want to be at another Christian school. And I'd only want to move up to D1. But that doesn't really exist, So it's like,
so is it D2 school in Oregon?
I was at an NAI.
Oh, okay, cool.
I was at D2 before that, and then NAI.
How many different college stops did you have?
4 different college stops.
And that
Colorado School of Mines, Western Oregon University, Corbin University, and then ACU.
So 3 states.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And we were in Arizona before that in high school.
Yeah.
So we had this whole big dream about like, what would it take to leave? And then Matt actually saw that the job was open and said, the dream job exists and it's Abilene, Texas. Look it up. So we looked it up.
You were
and it was
dreaming
like,
of Abilene.
Oh my
You
gosh.
guys were supposed to be here.
We looked it up and we were like, this is the dream for us. Small town Texas. This is everything that we hoped for. I mean, we just wanted community where we could raise kids, small enough, big enough. We love the sun. We like being outside. And Texas, we feel like this is it. Yep. This is how we wanted to live.
Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.
So when we found it and everything worked out for us to make the move and jump and move cross country, I flew out, did the interview. Matt said, you're going to have to make the call for our family if we're going to move on your own. And that's a lot of pressure. And so I said, it's a total God story. I came back from the interview and we went to church and there was a guest pastor at the church that said, you might have really good foliage on this plant where you're at right now, but if you want your foliage to be able to grow and you want this bush or tree to grow bigger, you have to be willing to be transplanted from this pot to a bigger pot. That might mean moving states, might mean moving jobs, might mean moving schools. And both of us looked at each other and we're like,
all the above.
We were like, it's going to happen.
Is on us.
Yep.
And then the next day, the Alan Ward called me, offered me the job, and there was no negotiation. It was like, yep, we're supposed to go.
Wow.
We're coming. So that got us to Abilene.
We're coming. It's Deion Sanders' story.
We coming.
We love it. Yep. This is our community, and we're super grateful. And I think that perspective that we've lived all over the country gives us a very unique perspective on Abilene, because we see what a gift it is. We see all the positive of this place.
Yeah.
Where some people that have been here their whole life don't realize how good we have it in Abilene. Like the people are amazing. Yeah. This has so much to offer.
Absolutely.
We actually were talking about that on the way to Austin last weekend about even just Texas as a whole. And of course, Cameron and I grew up in Texas, so we're going to obviously,
Be biased.
Yeah. But you hear the recurring thing. People that come to the state from out of state, they fall in love with it pretty quickly. Of course, now Abilene, we're all biased because it's awesome. We moved here because of family too. I was more familiar with it than you guys were. I went to college here, but when we were drawing a map out, we were at a season of life where we could go anywhere we wanted. We worked a business in our phones and like we had no boss. It was the mirror saying, Zach, what do you want to do today? Which is dangerous. But we ended up here and you're like, Abilene, but dude, family, the pace, like people still, y'all don't need to do this at Capriotti's, but people still take lunch breaks here. Yeah. Like they turn their phones off. It's just like 10 years. You just
Yes.
You just totally slowed down. And you can still be crazily distracted, but man, for raising a family, y'all's kids are, how old's the oldest one? 10, the youngest is
4.
So that you're in that perfect place.
Yeah.
But that means you moved here pregnant.
We found out we were pregnant after I accepted the job and said we were coming. And I was going to Israel that summer.
And that wasn't prepped for you guys that are watching. That's just quick Lano math.
Yeah,
man.
nice job.
Why am I on it
Quick
today?
Lano math.
On it, man. I've got minute, man.
Our 4-year-old Brady would very proudly tell you he is the only true Texan
He's a
in our family.
There we go.
He
My
has
boy.
figured that out at 4 years old. I'm the only one that was born
I was
here.
born in Texas.
You're not Texans. I am.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So okay, all these states, all these moves, how you got to Abilene, how'd y'all meet?
Working juvenile probation in Arizona.
So random, huh?
Wait a minute.
It's just, where'd that come from? Yeah. We were in, it was an at-risk youth facility. I was a unit manager. She was a caseworker in there. And, one thing led to another. But yeah, that's where we met. And we were doing juvenile probation for 5
years.
5 years.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
So you go from
One thing led to another.
Here
juvenile
you go.
probation, caseworker, softball coach, college, all that stuff. Moved to Abilene, Texas, from the west side of the country. Sandwich shop.
There we go.
And now hold
Makes
on.
sense, right? It just all fits in a little
That
crazy.
is
I love
Matt's story.
Yeah.
As far as, well, the business is family ran.
Yeah.
You're running it.
Yeah.
You're running Capriotti's. Somebody's got to run the home.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you have a job.
Yep.
You've had some transition. You came here to coach softball, but talk about that, where you're at now, what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool story of God closing one door and opening another door wide open, and just the perfect timing in all of that. A new season for me. I think this is a complete flip in our house, where Matt was at home, working from home for my entire coaching career, just doing what he needed to do, helping raise the babies and do all of that. And I was on the road a lot, and it was starting to hurt being away from the kids. And this is so cool. Now I'm the one at home.
And we're
I'm
talking
working.
not just games, so people to catch this.
Yeah.
Recruiting.
Yeah.
This is Abilene
Summer
Christian
long,
is a newly developing Division I school. So there's probably some hidden pressure there.
Yeah.
People don't really realize is going on there. The growth pulls in some of that. So it's that's a big job.
Yeah.
Big job.
Yeah, definitely bit off a lot more than we realized with that job, which is fine. But Matt was the one keeping it all working at home. And so now I'm in a role with FCA as the director of youth sports for the Big Country, which is just like a really, really sweet spot now. For me to be working with youth and with families in the Big Country, because this is the community that we love, and we get to serve them through the universal language of sports and help grow up these kids and families, and hopefully have a positive influence on what sports does for them as far as character building and relationship building. And I get to do that with my kids. That they're in that season of life where they're in sports now, and that's part of what I'm doing.
And this is sort of a new role that for the FCA to take on, right? Am I understanding that right? I used to be on the board, and I know at one time the college, like 3 years ago, that was new. And the FCA is growing. It's usually been high school focused, but then the middle school, and now we're talking youth. So what does that even look like?
So
It's
that's
so
all the
new, you may not
littles.
even know yet.
Yeah, it is. It's brand new, and we're doing this we're kind of the flagship for the country, which is so cool for the Big Country that we
that's
get to
cool.
write this script and share it with other communities, because this community here in Abilene was the right group of people, the right community, the right facilities with AYSA for us to be able to run youth sports. So our 7-on-7 football league that just continues to explode. Jamie Calvary's done such a good job with that.
You got the new fields coming.
The new fields are coming.
8 fields. We talked
It's
about
10
this.
fields.
10 fields. Yeah.
10 fields.
They keep saying soccer field, and the football coach, he's like, you got guys, we're talking like 7-on-7. Like, we're talking about flag football. It's Texas, guys.
Yeah.
But I know soccer's a big deal too. It's kind of a jab for my soccer fans. I coached soccer one year. I was Ted Lasso before the show came out.
Perfect.
Oh, wow.
Never touched a soccer ball a day in my life. My first job, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but you can come be a varsity secondary coach if you coach soccer. I'm like, dude,
Okay.
how hard can it be?
How hard can it be?
It's very hard. Freezing cold. It was freezing cold, man. Anyway, in the name of, hey, we're getting more of who we are, not what we do. Now you're telling a story of God's timing. One door shuts, another one opens, but you don't see that when the door gets shut.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
You've uprooted your family. You believe in this community. But, how many years did you coach?
15.
15. What I can say, I coached for 11. Number one, if you stay somewhere more than 5 years, that's an anomaly. Something's unique happening there. And if you've coached for more than 10 years, probably you've been let go at some point. Like it's just, it's the statistics of coaching, and that transcends college, high school. What was it like getting out of coaching? Like how much of your identity did you discover?
Yeah, that's really hard. And you talk about identity with players all the time, and we talk about it, and I would go to coaches' conventions and talk about it, but it is really hard when you invest so much time, energy, your heart, and honestly put that in front of your family for
Which
so
means you
long.
also played the sport.
Yeah.
All your mentors came from that sport. You became that in that sport.
Yeah, so many relationships and connections were developed through that. But God's timing was really sweet with all of this, that we didn't feel like we were hanging at any point where it's like, what's the next step? God made it pretty clear from early on.
You said that too, a pastor was speaking into some things up in Oregon. It was like, I know this about y'all. You also, when you got here, pretty quickly you found some community. And I'm not talking Abilene, I'm talking like groups, like some people in your life. So you go through this hardship and you're surrounded, like you got people around you who are speaking life into you.
Yeah.
They're there. And probably in some ways has to do with the role you're in now.
Yeah.
I mean, I suspect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because usually it's connections. I mean, it's all who you know, not what do you know. I mean, it's kind of why we wanted to do this was, hey, let's help each other know each other better in this incredible community.
Right.
So,
But that's a big piece of it. Like why we're still here. I mean, most coaches, college coaches, it's like you get let go, you're on to the next place. Like we're moving, we're going somewhere else. And our community is the reason why we are still here. That's what's helped us get through it and move on. And, we wanted to stay here and we wanted to be a part of it. So that was huge.
but you've been a firefighter too.
No, it's just a
It's the
mustache.
mustache.
It's just a
It's
mustache.
just a mustache, bro.
Why did I always think that?
Always, yeah. Everybody, it's either
What
firefighter,
is wrong
cop,
with
or
me?
something. It's just a mustache.
You should just own it, man.
I would have.
It's like, yep.
We're
15 years, did it.
We are sitting in the mill right now. This is a cool place in Abilene. You've got to check out. If I owned the mill, I would have bet the mill you were a firefighter because of the mustache. I really thought that.
Hey, it's a good mustache.
I'm telling you, man, the more you know. So, anyways,
It
sorry
works.
about that.
No, I was in agriculture. I'm still in agriculture. I work part-time for them still, but it was a really cool
What does that
situation.
mean in agriculture?
Yeah, I know. So I can
Like you're in the farm?
Yeah, and so when we lived in Oregon, I worked for a company. It was they did dairy, grass, and corn, and I did all the back end stuff. So I was the operations director for that. When we moved here, they didn't want to have to do all the things that I
You're
did.
doing remote.
It was a remote job, so I would go back every 3 months or so. But now it's just kind of a part-time thing that I'm doing with them still.
Mm-hmm.
So I still am able to do that on the side as well. So that was helpful when we were, she was coaching. But
Y'all live a full life.
yeah, we try to keep busy.
Good.
We love adventure.
Yeah.
I think both of us are pretty open to opportunity and adventure more than a lot. I mean, we're both wired to say yes to most
She's
things.
a little bit more. Sometimes I'm like, slow down, lady. You got to slow down because it's just go.
But if I present enough opportunities to him, he has to get on
he has
board
to
with
take
some
one.
of them.
I pick one.
You can't say no to all of my
Yeah.
great ideas.
Yeah. Or maybe she'll just stop with the great ideas for a minute and just take this one. But
Hey, I know one. We're not going to get into that much, but maybe here in a second. You're on the vein of kids or family or the role switch of the home.
Yes.
We kind of got into that, but really though, that's still fresh.
How did you kind of switch your role a little bit there? You
Kind of were Mr. Mom.
yeah, a little bit. I mean, that definitely was kind of my.
They make movies about this.
They do, yeah.
Y'all could be
And
in a movie.
It's usually in a lot of cases it's the coach's wife, but it was the coach's husband that was kind of doing that stuff. So I was dropping kids off at school, picking kids up,
Taking them
it
to
was
the
great.
games
Taking
when
them
you
to the
can.
games when she's not gone at recruiting trips or gone from like Thursday to Monday in a lot of cases during the season. So and she'd be all over the country. So I was here. It was me and the 3 kids, and they were young. So and that was 10 years of our lives. So I was doing diapers and doing the whole thing by myself. My parents moved out to Abilene too with us, so that's been a big, huge
awesome.
help. So they came
Do
from
they love
Nevada.
it?
Oh, they love it. Yeah, my mom is she's in everything with us, and Abigail keeps talking about like, let's just get the acreage, and then we could just have my parents move out to the acreage and build a house for them, and then your parents. And I'm just like,
I mean, not live together, but like have a compound so the kids can just run to the grandparents and then they're offloaded for the night,
it would be
Yeah.
fine. But
There it is.
There's another one of your dreams.
Rachel and I actually got to talk at this was really weird. It was a young adults married conference.
What were you doing there?
I'm 44. It was for 40 and under. And it was like,
young adults, Zach.
it was really weird. Like, I'm there and we're talking about, and I'm looking out and there's like 100 something couples out there. I'm like, we've crossed over.
Yeah.
We're no longer young adult, but it's like, I've always had this is what I do that supports our life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, pays our bills, groceries, just kind of our day-to-day, like that. This is my home-based thing. But Rachel and I, since 2012, have always had something that we do to create passive income, another stream, the whole thing. If you put one water hose in the swimming pool, it's going to fill up so fast. If you put 3 hoses, 5 hoses, it's going to fill up more. We have always seen opportunities like that as ways to live the adventure side of our life. because when I think of adventure, it's not just moving, transitions, on the go. It's travel. We like to have a vacation planned. We have a vision board. You can go into my Vrbo right now, or VRBO or Airbnb, and I have planned trips already set. Yeah. And I'll just sit around sometimes.
Apparently I need to get a vision
Me and
board.
her, I'm
because
telling you,
You
guys
need
are
a
like,
vision board.
listen,
They work.
I already know.
It's
If
like,
Brandon
geez.
Osborne said he had a vision board too.
I'm telling you, read some
There's
books.
something
Like
to
this
it.
stuff matters. Yeah. So like your life goes in the direction of this stuff. And so, I can already tell you, if we want to go to the hill country, I can go in there and I can look, and I've already got 15 places saved because I've already been looking at them. Like,
You're taking hits right now.
Yeah,
Like
and
tips.
so,
I never thought of that.
But to do that kind of stuff, my regular life of job, it doesn't pay for Disney World. Like, do you have these other things? Abigail and I have gotten real connected because we've both been in that same vein. You've helped with a company. I've helped with a company. We've kind of locked arms. I don't get into a whole lot of that, but like, what are your thoughts on like just that? What the purpose behind? You got a whole lot going on.
Yeah. It's smart at this point to find passive income to be able to provide opportunities for family that it's expensive to live as a family. And we want to do all of the things. Like, you only have your kids under your roof for so long. I want to be able to say yes to the adventure and go do experiences with our kids and be able to provide these really cool opportunities to see the world and to travel and just, I don't think we're not about things. We're about experiences.
Absolutely.
And going to see places and spend time together as a family. And so for us, having an extra stream of income or two to be able to say yes, or honestly, to be able to give generously when there's an opportunity where it's like, hey, we both feel like this needs to happen for that person, where it's like, no question, that's not in the family budget right now. It's going to come from this extra income. I think we just want to be able to live freely to say yes to those kind of things. So
Yeah. And the reason you'll succeed in that is because you have the right heart in that.
Yeah.
It's not about the tunnel vision of the things and look what I can do or any of that. What you basically just said is, we would like to give, and you want to give generously, and you want to give experiences to your kids. Like, I taught world geography out of a 1985 textbook, like for probably 10, 15 years or something. And like, pictures only take you so far.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden YouTube came up, and I was the coach that rolled the cart and watched the TV all the time. That's how you get brownie points with kids, is like trade and grade, and here's a new movie. And so I was that guy. But even then, like, until you put your feet somewhere and you smell Israel,
smell,
or you smell Africa or Cambodia or even Oregon, and maybe for a family, it's not something that grandiose. Maybe it's like, maybe you need to go smell Great Wolf Lodge, like just having something that creates those experiences. Like, I can think of no better investment.
Yeah.
Like, there's some people can't catch that because they think the return ROI has to be a thing you can see or hold on to, tangible.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, from the time you were 5 to 15, name 3 Christmas gifts that you had, toys that you played with. You can't think of that.
Yeah.
But start talking about, where's some place your dad took you that was awesome. You start smelling the memory of that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, there is no thing that will ever change my mind from creating that for our family.
Yeah.
Like, I want my kids to catch that.
I think we all have our own similar story about how to prioritize all the things we've got going on. Like, how do y'all do it? I mean, y'all clearly have had so many different career fields and have dabbled in adventure and all that stuff. Like, how are y'all intentional with that balance, that work-life balance with your family?
Practically, do y'all share calendars?
Yeah, we do have a calendar.
Is it digital?
Yeah.
So you're on the same page on that. Most couples are like, one's paper, one's digital.
I mean, I personally have 3
She
different
runs that
calendars, but
calendar,
we have the
Family
digital
one.
one,
Yeah.
and then we have one that's outside our bedroom that I don't think he looks at as much, on a whiteboard where I keep track of things. But
How mindful are y'all about, with your children, about them being different? You mentioned that earlier. Do you intentionally focus into their personalities? What does that look like?
Yeah, and definitely just get them individual time when we can. Like, specifically, even if it's just driving to school, taking one, like my morning to take Griffin to school every day, and we talk, and it's a 5 minutes, 10-minute drive, but you just focus on what his things that he likes to talk about and just pour into that. And I think that's been very important, especially with me. Like, we were talking about like the flip and how do you balance that? Well, it's just a work in progress. It's always just a work in progress for us. So just finding new things in different ways. My first month and a half, I was there probably 80 hours in a week. at the shop. So I was getting there at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then leaving at 11 every day for a month.
You've eaten every kind of sandwich
I'm
combination.
so sandwiched out. No, I love Capriotti sandwiches. Please eat them all day long, every day. Just finding that balance and like making sure I can, if I can get off 4 hours early to go to a football game or to a volleyball game or to, life group on Wednesday, making sure that's a priority and just making sure that you are prioritizing your family and the things that you did and you do all the time is very important. You can work, but getting that time with your kids is very important.
Even I think that was really hard. The first 6 weeks was extremely hard. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to be at home with the kids for the first time in my life. And now it's like, wait, you eased into this for 10 years. You added a kid on every few years.
Here comes the marriage.
I'm just trying to
got it easier than I have.
No. But all that to say, I think that even that first 6 weeks was really challenging, honestly, with the kids. And like, why isn't dad here to put us to bed tonight? When's dad gonna come home and be home for dinner? And having those conversations, it was actually a really good teaching lesson for the kids on, hey, sometimes you're gonna invest in things in life that you're not gonna see an immediate return on. And we want to teach you that early, and using that as a life lesson. Like, hey, if I've got a dream for how I want life to look, if we want to create this life that we have on our vision board, because our kids are involved in the vision board, well, that means that we need to make some sacrifices right now. Can we each make some sacrifices right now? Yeah. Because the long-term gain is this is what we want as a family, and we've said we want as a family. And so helping the kids to understand it's okay to be bummed right now that it's just mom putting you to bed and dad's not here. But here's why. This is why we're doing this for our family. And I think they're pretty involved in that with, even with the transition to FCA and with the adding on a side stream of income. They very much understand why we do that and what it's for, so that they get to be a part of it.
That's good.
I think that's such a big, important thing, bringing your kids into all facets, not just the payout, but the work. They have to understand to see that. And I can go back in time and point to plenty of places we failed in that area. It's not as rosy as it can sound. Like, my real question to y'all is, who won y'all's last argument?
She usually wins.
Yeah, I didn't want to say fight, but like,
it's a good answer. It's a
hey,
good
look,
answer.
I bet there's some stress that's been going down. And I know, Mary, how long have y'all been married?
12
years.
12 years.
Yeah. Okay. I'm 19. I'm 20 actually. You're how long?
14.
14.
Nice.
Cartwright, how long you been married? This is Cartwright's first shout out. He's behind the camera. He's been married 12 years, has 2 awesome daughters. They homeschool their kids. We homeschool one. One's at school. You got 3 at school. You got 1 in college, 1 at school. We're like battle tested right here.
Yeah.
But I may have lost more than I've won.
Oh yeah.
But I'll never quit.
No.
Like, you can't fail unless you quit. So like, do your kids see a healthy side of y'all when you're in?
I mean, and you're going to argue, you're not going to get along. There's going to be things, especially when you're trying new things and changing completely in your life. But we just constantly take it back to the fact that we're in this together, no matter what. And at the end of the day, we're going to have we're going to have struggles, we're going to have fights. But at the end of the day, we have to figure this whole thing out, because we've got a lot, invested in, love each other, right? Right. Don't we love each other? Yeah. So just knowing that in the end, like, there's no like, I'm getting out of this thing. Like, there's no that piece is.
It's not an option. It's not on the table.
We don't even talk about that.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Good.
Yeah, we're mad at each other, but we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah. What's your take on it?
I think progressively over our marriage, we're both really stubborn, and we can both have pretty big opinions and emotions.
Keeping my mouth shut.
We both are. And so I just think over time, we can both acknowledge that it's gotten better. We're able to resolve something faster than we were in the past, and not dwell on it, not hold on to it as much.
You're maturing. Yeah. And out of maturity, you start seeing even in yourself, like, hey, that's a hill I don't have to die on. Like, I'm being stupid over here. At least I tell myself that all the time. Look at our society. Think of things like social media, specifically Snapchat. It's a non-committal connection. I can send you this, but I didn't really, because it disappears. And that's been in its way of working for the last decade. And so you just have this generation coming up that if they don't see healthy, that's not an option. I'm committed. Think about college sports. I mean, the portal is like, people are leaving as fast as they're coming. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, in a marriage, you made a lifelong commitment to become one. The word become means process. You don't sign the paper and kiss the bride and we're one. No, it doesn't work that way. It's an adventure of all adventures. Yeah. So hats off to y'all for doing it well.
I think one thing that I would note is our life group, which we call it Maximum Effort Life Group.
Nice.
We have shown up and we've had couples come and they walk in and they're just like, you can see steam coming out of their ears and you're like, you guys good? No, we're not good. We're fighting. We're mad. Yeah. But they showed up, and that was what was important, was we're going to sit in there and we're going to grind through it. And you know what? Like at the end of this, you're probably walking out of that life group on Wednesday less angry with your spouse. And I know that there's specifically times when we've had an argument and it's like, no, I don't even want to go to church this morning. Like,
I think majority of arguments are the freshest at the door shut of the parking lot of church.
100%. That's 100%.
But there's
so
a
much stress getting them out, getting them dressed, getting within, and you're just not doing this, not doing that. And
that's any church too. That's just
there's
what
a distinct memory though that I have. I don't know how long ago it was, but we were just like, we were at it and angry, and it was like, screw it, we're just going to stay home. And Matt walked in, like marched into the bedroom, and he was like, put your clothes on, we're going to church. And it was like, oh,
yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, you're the leader of our family, so if you say,
remember it that way,
and it's like, fine, we're going to church.
Hey, babe,
I'll brush my
Tell me
hair.
that story again. I want to hear that a couple more times.
Can you say that again? That was not.
But it was like, okay,
I get your
that was a compliment.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you for taking lead. And that's probably one, like that's a turning point in the marriage where it's like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
That's not going to make it better by staying at home.
Yeah. You guys are building a life around your commitment. And there's non-negotiables when you have commitments. And so that's really probably the season y'all are in, is figuring out your non-negotiables in all this transition and new, business and up and coming business and new role in FCA. And like this, it's probably, old coach goes on the drawing board, erases everything and says, okay, here's our script. And we're going to run this play, but we know that we're going to have to probably pivot, punt in softball. I don't know what you call it, bunt. Maybe you bunt when you're not supposed to. You're like.
Hey, bunting's strategic, bro.
Yeah. Abigail's probably like sending like call signs, whatever.
Yeah.
However you do it, that's what you're doing
as a team. Like how important has that been through y'all's marriage and y'all's transitions and all these new worlds that y'all have kind of dabbled into, and really maintaining that team, that that marriage, that team togetherness, and you being the leader of that team.
Taking things that we've seen and done in the past and kind of learning and what fits here, what doesn't fit there, what really triggers her, what really triggers me, and kind of staying away from that zone in that area, I think, or easing into it a little bit differently. So it's just been trial by fire, I guess, on that end. And that's been learning, though. You have to be able to, you go through those fires and you go through those things, but if you don't fix it and learn how to communicate better with your spouse, I think that's where you get into trouble. But I think we've done that better.
Yeah, honestly, while I was in coaching, that was probably the most challenging. Was as a head coach, you're the one that's making all the decisions. You're bossing people around. You've got to do all of these things and be that person all day long. And as a female head coach, coming home and trying to like take my hat off, and now I'm going to be the submissive wife, was really hard. Like,
oh yeah, sure.
I've been in charge all day. Like I didn't want to be in charge at home anymore, but then it's really hard to sit back and like, you're going to make all the decisions now. And I've got to switch that on my drive home. That's challenging, I think, probably for a lot of female head coaches. And so this role, to me, I think it's just going to be a whole lot healthier for us. I mean, there's still a huge component with FCA where I'm leading a lot of different groups and people. But I think it's going to be a whole lot more natural that Matt has a very clearly defined role as the head of the household, and that he's making moves. I think that's been really fun to see his fire ignited and excited. And now he's dreaming about things. And so
a good coach knows they always still need a coach. You're always coaching someone. You're having someone coach you. Who do you guys look to as mentors? Like has there been an example of a marriage that you've thought in your journey, like that's the marriage I want? On the count of three, say a name. 1, 2.
We're not on no husband-wife telepathy happening here.
It's not there. So you can start.
I think the Hardcastles have been pivotal for us in Abilene, and walking through marriage and being able to be really honest and appreciating how they've handled adversity and
Yeah,
stuff
they've
like
been
that.
through some stuff. Yeah.
That they could speak to us really transparently to both of us.
Yeah.
I mean, they were flipped, but appreciate them. And then we've had just a ton of really good, awesome married couples every stop of the way, I think, where we've lived.
So it's interesting. It's been more people that are your age range.
Yeah, and looking at
which is cool.
our parents as well. They've
both of
been
our
mentors
parents have been married for a long time.
Long time, so seeing that example has been, huge for us too, like growing up in that. And I think that's a big piece of how we want to raise our kids too, showing them that this can happen. You're going to battle, you're going to have your things. And just like any marriage, like you see your parents argue and fight and, but they fight through it and they keep going. So they were good examples for us on that piece too.
Yeah.
So.
I'm going to ask for me a little bit, but like just for anyone that is maybe knows that they're coming to the end of one chapter of their book and is either nervous or scared or knows that a new chapter is coming up. What can you say to that person?
Just do it. I mean, in the end, you can
Nike, man.
You can overthink it. You can think about all the things that are going to happen because they're going to be there, but they're going to be there no matter what. I mean, you just got to just jump. If you feel like this is where God's leading you and this is the new door, you got to jump.
We're cannonball people.
I think people they sit back and they over
cannonball people.
I mean, it's
I just had a visual of Matt.
Cannonball.
He looked like Will Ferrell. And he was cannonballing into the backyard party next Halloween.
But I mean, you can overthink everything. Yes, of course, obviously look at the pros and cons, but if you just stay in the analyze zone, you're never going to get out of it.
Yeah.
So you eventually just have to take that leap.
Paralysis
and just go
by analysis.
Exactly. I think that's been our whole marriage, our whole career, and she's helped me a lot with that. I mean, I'm a little bit more, stay back on the sideline a little bit and kind of analyze and make sure things are going.
Felt good to get in the game, didn't it?
Yeah, it felt good to just take that step because, I don't know, it's just been very, very rewarding in several different ways. So
what would you say to that?
I think staying in prayer over, like just asking God to open your eyes and mind to what he has for you. He is faithful in that. I think if for us, that's been really cool to be able to have these lenses where we look through and I see freedom and I see excitement in a lot of different areas. And God will show you the next steps and next moves, but you have to be looking for it. And it's not going to be like you flip your Bible open and it says, this is your next move. It's
you're
like
on the couch.
You've got a relationship and you hear the voice of the Holy Spirit and you feel confident in that cannonball, even though you're like, man, it's going to be ice cold. I'm cannonballing. I'm going to do this and jump into it.
Sure. That's good.
I like it. Yeah. You guys are go-getters. That's fun.
Favorite part about Texas in general?
The people and how personable they are and how, they're not afraid to give you advice, especially opening up a sandwich shop and you get to hear all of the advices. I got advice on where I should place my trash can in the restroom. So that was fun.
There you go.
Yeah.
They'll tell you.
I think community. And I think that this is a season where people are like, oh, it's not so pretty in Texas. Oregon was prettier. I'm like, no, you know where the beauty is? The beauty is in the community and the people, but you're looking just up at the trees for beauty and you're missing the people around here. We're all doing life together. And that is really beautiful to me.
Have y'all gone to anywhere? You've been here 5 years. In Texas, surely you've been to DFW. I'm guessing you've been to Austin, maybe. Have y'all been
New Braunfels? We went down there.
That's a cool place.
Did some camping and
Did you go to Schlitterbahn?
We were going to, but the youngest got sick. So we had to cancel that one out. But we did floated on the river when there was
now we're talking Texas.
Not much water in there. There was points where we had to get out of the tube just
freezing
to be able
cold water.
So
not really Texas until you float the river.
So the river.
We got initiated in that a couple years ago, and we've been to Houston. Haven't been to the coast at all.
You don't have to go to the Texas coast.
Yeah,
go on, go down Florida,
down to Florida,
Gulf Coast, down at least Alabama.
Okay,
maybe further.
I know you said you were sandwiched out, even though you're not sandwiched out, because Capriotti, right?
Yeah.
Favorite Capriotti sandwich?
Capistrami.
Explain, what is that?
It is pastrami, Swiss cheese, hot, melted. Then you put a little Russian dressing, which is kind of like a Thousand Island.
Bet.
Coleslaw, black pepper. Call it a day.
No salt.
Nope, salt. Nope. You're going to have a lot of salt in the pastrami itself.
Yeah.
So
What do you say?
Chipotle chicken crunch. I think our store has sold more Chipotle chicken crunches
Just
than any
because
other store
she's
because
talked
I
to
tell everybody
I
about
mean,
it.
all three of those words, Chipotle chicken
Yes.
crunch,
Yeah.
is all.
This is
sounds
Why
all
like-
wouldn't
go.
you do that?
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you? For people that are so busy and so involved, like y'all are and have been, and all that stuff, how do you turn it off? What is your go-to to just
Oh, that's a good question.
turn it off whenever, where you just need to shut it down and relax, and like your place or way or whoever you're with to just decompress?
Sanity. When do you find sanity?
watching the Rebel games, like recorded Rebel games, that, and then probably lawn work, being outside.
Mowing the yard.
Mowing
I
the yard
hate
or-
lawn work,
Yeah.
but okay.
Yeah,
Some
man,
of
I
that
got a
stuff.
tractor.
I throw a little podcast in or something like that and just kind of take your brain to wherever, even if I don't put any of that in, it just
Just mowing the yard, dude.
Just mowing the yard.
I have a 0 turn
Okay.
John Deere.
Fancy.
It's the base model, cheapest one they make, and I've forced the girls to call it my lawn tractor.
Lawn tractor.
I don't even need it. To do.
my
I have a
tractor.
small yard, but man,
Get on my John Deere.
That's going on my vision board. I'm not kidding, because doing our side yards,
Yeah,
when I
she's
do
had
have to
to-
push mow it, it's like a whole half-acre push mowing on
oh,
bumpy
you absolutely
ground.
need one of these.
It's on the
you need to
vision
call
board.
Tickner and just go make it happen.
Yeah.
Like, he's the guy. But where's your
exercise.
place of like, I need a break?
Generally in the car, I listen to worship music. And so we live out in Tuscola. And so just having a place to be able to drive, but sometimes I'll even just turn the worship music and just have complete silence. But cleaning and doing tasks around the house and having them completed, for me, just gives me like peace.
You like to do
and
that while the kids are asleep? Like you get up ahead of everyone and do that? Or
I
you
do
just
wake up
do it?
before the kids every day and do my quiet Bible reading and drink my coffee.
Everybody gets to do it how you want to do it. Capriotti's, you got to go get a sandwich.
Yep. Come on in.
FCA, if you got kids, man, get them
gonna
out,
be good.
get them around other kids, other families.
Yep.
You guys are awesome people. Man, thanks for hopping on here. Yeah,
Yeah. Appreciate
you,
it.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for thinking of us.
here we go.